everybody? All right, there we go. We're doing it live, guys. We're doing it live. What's up, everybody? F in the chat for the premiere that had zero audio. It happens, guys. Whatever. I nuked that one. Sometimes you try to record something, you think it's gonna work. You're having a nice evening. I'm like, I'm just gonna be eating some cold chicken sandwiches over here. No. You can't have that. We can't do that at all. Good to see you all there in the chat. Whoa, you're in Jeju. Good to see you there, Johnny Sakura. We're doing it live. Listen, guys, obviously there's been more premieres lately because, well, that's what's been really helping the channel and helping us push towards 100K, the shorter videos that I put out on a regular basis. But sometimes your boy is a boomer and he messes things up. So let's rock this here. I've got only about 30 minutes or maybe even less to get this out. So this is going to be a very short stream, but I wanted to get my message out live here to all of you. And it's also say what's up because obviously I love all y'all. Y'all are fucking amazing. Good to see you in the chat. So we're going to talk about woke Chick-fil-A. And also real quick, I also want to talk about this, the Bud Light and Disney and how that kind of ties in with them, particularly the issues that those companies are seeing right now. Because right now you're having massive issues with these other companies that are just really being told off. In fact, there's a great article which I found about how Bud Light, they're so hated that their truck drivers are being flipped the bird and called slurs. I know they're probably dropping some hard F-bombs for shipping out Bud Light. And listen, while the truck drivers do nothing wrong themselves personally, they are trying to make everybody feel bad for the distributors and their local bottlers. But frankly, Anheuser-Busch bought them on themselves. There are consequences to their actions. And boo-hoo, yes, I get that there's people down the chain and there's jobs on the line here, but they should have thought about that before they let a woke executive into their system. This is the problem. And this is the key to what I'm going to talk about with Chick-fil-A. When you let this into your system, it is a poison which eventually kills you. It eventually ends up killing the entire corporation, destroying those jobs, destroying those families, destroying those companies. When you let this into your system, it is toxic. It may not kill you today, it may not kill you tomorrow, but it's like smoking a pack a day. Eventually, you're going to get lung cancer and you're going to frickin' die. So that's where I'm going with this tonight and Chick-fil-A. And listen, I personally am going to boycott Chick-fil-A over this, but I'm not going to ask anybody to do that with me. I'm not going to say, hey, you guys have to do that with me, but I'll tell you why I'm taking a strong stance on this, because I do believe this is something you actually need to fight instead of letting it into your system. So obviously people are already calling out Chick-fil-A over this culture of belonging, this new policy for DEI. And what is DEI? DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those of you may know, obviously I did special district law. That's what I did for almost a decade. But after that, I was in-house counsel for several years. In fact, I was even serving as in-house counsel over here in Korea, working remotely. So I know all about these policies, and these policies are absolutely the end of a corporation. And there's a lot of reasons why, but just to bring those up, let's look at Disney's policy, right? So this is Disney's policy, and you can see when we're going to go to the Chick-fil-A policy, which is over here, right? It's going to look a lot like the Disney policy and what they're saying. Talking about an inclusive, respectful world, right? Talking about recruiting and retaining a diverse workforce, fostering a welcoming and respectful culture, creating content that resonates with a global audience, and collaborating with community organizations to make industries more accessible, as if they weren't accessible already. So these are all issues here. When you really focus on what this means to them and what it comes down to, what this really means is hiring people who are not qualified, actively discriminating against certain racial groups, including people who are Caucasian, people who are Asian, right? Because they're overqualified, they're over capable. and breaking up and segregating employees in the company into groups, right? Into trans groups, into Latino groups, Black groups, and saying, okay, we're going to force us from all being one and integrated into being segregated once again and creating us groups, in groups and out groups, us versus them. That's exactly what these things end up fostering, you know, and you can see, look, they're talking about, okay, we've got people, we've got a Sikh, we've got a Muslim, we've got a redhead, you know, somebody who looks, well, probably trans, I don't know, and an older Asian lady. Okay, great, great. But these, you know, talking about culture, talking about reflecting the stories, right? So, okay, look, we've got a strong woman and we've got some brown people. So that's great. It's going to be really, really great. And then we have these community organizations, which you can join in order to boycott things you don't like. Remember, these community organizations were key behind the revolt against Chapek and them trying to promote the anti-grooming bill. And I call it that because, listen, I feel like I've got to reset the balance of the force with all this inaccurate description of the parental rights and education bill as the Don't Say Gay bill. So obviously you see transparency, accountability, and worst of all is what comes at the bottom here. And this is Disney. So before we get over, obviously this is the nightmare here. First of all, look at those eyes. Look at those dead, scary eyes there on Latondra Newton. She is their senior vice president, their chief diversity officer. So let me just understand, this person is actually sitting at the same table as the CEO, the CFO, the chief legal counsel, everybody else. They're bringing this chief diversity officer, this C-suite officer at the same table as all these folks. And when you bring in somebody here at this job, their entire job is to create issues at your corporation. To justify their existence, they need to create issues. And what's up, Brandon? Hello, hello, hello from NYC. Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you. You need to head out to Chiang Mai so we can hang out. All right. So yeah, it does look like Oprah, guys. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. So this Latondra, right, when she says, at Disney, we amplify underrepresented voices and told untold stories to champion a multitude of perspectives, recognizing that we are all greater than a single story and we deserve to feel heard, seen, and understood. As if that wasn't happening before, and as if you need to see somebody's skin tone in order to understand their story. That is, in fact, the most racist thing I've heard in my life. It's completely bigoted. I can see myself in somebody else's story, whether they're white, black, brown, whatever they are, even if they're an alien. I read stories, sci-fi stories growing up about aliens, and I identified with them. What the hell does that mean? So this political commissar, you know, as you said, Robert Griffin, I agree with that one. All they're going to do is go through and create trouble, create issues. So what is Chick-fil-A copying from Disney here? They're copying this entire strategy. So they talk about starting off their corporate purposes to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us, to have a positive influence on all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. That's great. And honestly, I've met some Chick-fil-A workers that are awesome. Some lovely girls over there in Orlando or in Celebration, where I would go get my Chick-fil-A sandwich every day. I've said that a million times. I love the sandwich. It's great. I love the waffle fries. I got Chick-fil-A sauce that was imported. We have 0 Chick-fil-A's in Korea. I got Chick-fil-A sauce in my fridge. I like Chick-fil-A food. It's great. But the reason why I'm not doing it is because I truly believe they need to purge this from their system and they need to get this out, because every single organization I've seen adopt these policies ends up tearing themselves out for the inside. Now, they do not focus yet on LGBT stuff, but that doesn't mean they won't be forced to in the future. We're going to get to that. We're definitely going to get to that. And let's get to some of these super chats. So PA Grunt says, don't have an issue with the diverse workforce. Don't have an issue with inclusion in the workforce as long as they do their jobs. But I do have a problem with equity, which is not equality. PA Grunt, this is entirely the point. They want equity. They do not want equality and they do not want inclusion. There's no problem with inclusion. Most workforces are already inclusive. I have never worked at a company that does not have men, women, people of various races, nationalities, backgrounds working there. But the issue is when you feel like you need to give people power, right? So you need to say, okay, you, because you're in an underrepresented group, maybe it's the Latino group, maybe it's the Black group, maybe it's the women's group, despite the fact that they'll create these women's groups and the majority of workers at the workplace will be women, for example. So they're not even really a minority, but they say, okay, now you've got power to, dictate everything over the workforce. And is that equality? No, that's giving a group power over everybody else. It's despotic. DeSantis is the Bud Light of the political world. Appreciate y'all. And yes, this is live, guys. This is live because my premiere did not work out. But yes, they don't want diversity of thought. That is very, very, very true. So over here, starting out, this starts out nice. It starts out good. It starts out with good intentions. But the road to good intentions leads straight to damnation. And when I saw this and I scrolled down and, I passed this big block of text and saw they've got Eric McReynolds, VP of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This is where I know they will have a problem. And this is where I'm telling you right now, Chick-fil-A's problems are going to come from Eric McReynolds. He is going to create issues for them because he needs to justify his job. Everybody at work is self-interested. And he is going to need to start stuff and say, hey, look, we're having a problem. We're not representing our T's well enough. We're not representing our L's and G's and B's enough. They're going to push this on the corporation and they're going to force them to change their stance because now that they've adopted this policy, they're going to be at risk if they only selectively apply that. You see, they've chosen to elect a policy, and now that they've chosen to elect it, they've got to equally apply it. That's where they're going to end up getting in trouble because they're going to end up with some bi employee, some trans employee or gay employee who's going to say, hey, I wasn't equally treated under this policy. They're going to get sued and they'll probably lose, right? So he talks about, Chick-fil-A being modeled as a place where people care about each other. And look, I get that. Caring about each other, dignity, respect, that's great. That's great. But that's going to take away from this company. And what's really sad is this is not a publicly traded company. So this is not because they want the woke bucks. This is not because they want the woke funding. This is literally because they chose to go this way. And I know why they chose to go this way. They chose to go this way to limit their liability. They chose to go this way because they didn't want to get sued. They don't want to be the odd man out. However, this is ultimately going to be their downfall. Because of that, they're going to end up with more lawsuits that they were trying to prevent. They're saying, oh, well, let's do this to prevent it. But they're going to end up with more than they would have had before. It's the whole issue with, adopting the policies which protect an employee, might protect an employee's right to that job or right against discriminatory practices. Well, then that employee that fits that category will feel like they're entitled to their job, which under the law, if you're in an at-will work state, you're not entitled to your job. I, by the way, think that's a good thing because you can leave at any time you want. Employer can make you leave at any time you want. I think it's fine. So let's get down to what this means, right? So here's some of the language you guys need to be careful of. And you can see it here. Chick-fil-A's commitment to being better together means embedding diversity, equity, yes, I'll say it again, equity and inclusion in everything we do. In everything we do. That's going to come back around. Ensuring equal access, as if this was not existing already. Equal access is the law. If you are not providing equal access, if you are being discriminatory, whether in your business practices or in your hiring practices, you are already committing a violation under US law. You don't need a DEI policy to ensure equal access. This is complete bullshit. This is not the 1960s. This is not this is not 1840. We're not in the same era that was happening before. If you're not following these laws, you're already going to be in deep shit. This is going to be a big issue. And guys, I'm passionate about this. I've been really good. My last videos, I haven't been cursing. So pardonnez-moi. I'm a little pumped up about this one. Then going to valuing differences. Our similarities and differences strengthen us. Okay, that's fine. But if you're valuing those differences by forcing them upon people who don't want them, for example, by forcing LGBTQ principles on otherwise Christian employees, or how about Muslim employees? How about just conservative employees that don't like that don't agree with that lifestyle? How about just people that just say, I don't think that's okay. I don't think it's great. You're now forcing that on them? Or forcing them, by the way, even if you're doing it racially, because people might say, oh, well, race isn't as bad as gender. Well, okay, that might be your personal opinion. But listen, if we're going into talking about reparations, if we're going to talk about, for example, the infamous video of shining the black man's shoes, if you guys haven't seen that one, check that out. Chick-Fil-A and the shining of the shoes. That was a while ago. And repenting over slavery. That was a while back. But no, we should not have to repent over slavery. We should not have to shine anybody's shoes. We don't owe anybody anything, particularly those of us whose family may or may not even have been in this country at that time, or may have been fighting for the North, which, listen, if anything, we deserve a thank you for that. Where's the thank? If we're gonna talk about both ways, where's the thank you for those men and women that died to end that practice? Just saying. Just saying. Always made me laugh that California, the state that was on the Union side, has decided that they need to issue reparations. Absolutely hilarious. And by the way, very true what John says, that every race has contributed to slavery. Every race has practiced slavery at some point. Asian, Hispanic, Mesoamerican, white, black, everybody practiced slavery. In fact, modern slavery goes on to this day in much more subtle ways. And creating a culture of belonging. So this is once again these community groups, these diversity groups, which are at the heart of dissent within the organization. They create these my team versus your team elements which don't exist until you create a group and you segregate people and you say, hey, you're black, go over there. You're Hispanic, go over there. You're a woman, go over there. That creates problems that were not there in the first place. So let's just go through these points real quick, saying recruiting top tier talent. Well, what do they mean by that? Well, first of all, they say we're going to partner with colleges and universities. I think that is probably the most dumb woke thing they could do in the universe. Colleges and universities are absolutely corrupt beyond redemption. There's no way to save them. And by partnering with college and universities, instead of trade schools or vocational schools or apprenticeship programs, certification programs, places that are giving them practical skills where they could come back and, maybe build their own business, maybe start their own Chick-Fil-A franchise. Maybe they should be focused on giving people practical skills, because college and university does not do that. But then going further, they say, look who they're gonna selectively work with. They're going to work with the Women's Food Service Forum, the National Black MBA Association, and the Association of Latino Professionals. So they're saying we want women, blacks, and Latinos, but everybody else can get bent, right? Native Americans, walk it. Asians, get out of here. Europeans, yeah, no. Forget the Slavs. Forget those people. How about the religious groups? We're forgetting those other religious groups, right? And whitey, yeah, that's a joke. So yeah, no Asian cooks. No, they're actively discriminating against Asian cooks because they are not providing that. Is that not active discrimination? I would say that is. And then obviously access to education. We talked about how college is woke, so no need to go there. Providing money for people to go get propagandized to hate Christianity is counter to what I thought their message was. This was supposed to be a private Christian-led organization that was held by Christian principles. In the past, they did such a good job in resisting this, but this is going to be the downfall. Colleges actively treat Christianity as patriarchal, evil, and horrible. And look, I was a religious studies major in college, and I'm going to tell you right now, even in the religion departments, people have a strong hate for Christianity. Even when I was going there, the actual Christian scholars, and we had some really good ones, but they were few and far between. It was like 3 people. And they were the minority. It is hard to be a Christian in college nowadays. It is not easy. And then here's the bane. Here's where we're going. So these community groups, engaging through the community groups. So this is exactly what doomed Disney. This is exactly what got them on this path of their employees rebelling, is forming these community groups. So here you go. They're going to form a wide range of community groups. Women in business, Black employees, young professionals, and the Chick-Fil-A Green Team. So women and Black employees get a group. I don't see a Latino group on here, by the way. There probably is, but who knows? These create groups of, we are the Black group, we got to look out for us and our interests. We're the women, we got to look out for us and our interests. We're the green people, we got to look out for us and our interests. And giving them disproportionate amount of power, because these people are turned around and given a chance to lecture everybody else, to give them trainings, to tell them how America is racist in the first place, because, you know, America was founded by slavers. Yeah, if you remember the, was it 1688 movement or 1697, whatever that ridiculousness was, that America is fundamentally racist. Huge issue, massive issue. And then, of course, talking about partnering with minority-owned businesses. So not the most efficient, not the most effective, but, oh, they're minority-owned. So we're going to go and we're going to partner with people just for their minority status. Guys, Eric McReynolds here, this policy on diversity, equity, inclusion, it is going to be the death of Chick-fil-A. So let me get these super chats here, and I will, and yeah, we'll just round it up. A small donation for the Mutes Against Muting, non-charity profit. God bless. God bless you guys too. Appreciate those that hung out for the premiere. I know it was a mislaunch, but mi scusi. Sorry about that. And then PA Grunt says, it's not always the corporation that willingly adopts DI, it's the banks, the lenders forced through the WF. So here's the thing. I'm going to say this. It's a privately held corporation. So my question is, are they getting is Chick-fil-A in such a bad way they're getting loans from banks and the banks are requiring it? Private loans? Since they're privately held, I thought they didn't have to have this problem. Are there not Christian banks out there? Are there not Christian lenders that would not force them to adopt DEI? Is it fallen that hard? I don't know. It might. But I can neither confirm nor deny that that's the issue. If that's the issue, God help all American corporations and God help American corporate. It will be the death of American corporate, which, by the way, is why I say folks should consider starting a very small business, working for yourself, operating with independent contractors in a situation in which you do not have to have employees where you're forming community groups. Let's see. Okay, got that one. Thank you, Leprechaun Go for 20. Appreciate you as always. Big supporter of the channel. 2012 Jameson says, San Supreme Court is great for reparations. No permanent residency requirement to get the money and leave after is great. Yeah, just stop in California, pick up the money and leave. Okay, sure. All right, bro. Good luck with that. That's going to be real fun when that drops down the pike. There's going to be a flood of lawsuits over that, and it's going to absolutely double the budget in 1 year at minimum. Mexican Iron Man, my good friend Mike. What's up, Mike? Appreciate you. I am so sick and tired of being used as a minority pawn for this fake white corporate race guilt. By the way, I used to be on the board for Latino Professionals of America until they got taken over by wackos years ago. See, here's the thing. Just like other boards, Mike, oftentimes in the beginning, it starts as a networking thing. It starts as something innocent where you're like, look, I just want to meet other people. And yeah, it might be a cool way to meet other people because we have this in common. We're this group, right? Where we do this thing. But when it goes along racial lines, I always feel like it ends up deteriorating into some woke bullshit, particularly in modern America. It ends up going away from let's just celebrate our culture together, right? Let's celebrate the fact that we beat off the European empires back in Mexico back in the day. You know, let's celebrate our independence. Let's celebrate our republic. Let's celebrate our unique nation, the background that is made up of people of all sorts of backgrounds in Mexico, Mexico being a very diverse country with a very interesting background. So let's celebrate that and let's just be positive about that and celebrate that together versus, hey, let's go get something out of Whitey. because we're obviously all wronged by big old nasty whitey here. Let's go crack down on him, despite the fact that these corporations now look as diverse as America does. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew about the beat up the Europeans when that references to the Mexican Empire, right? So if y'all don't know, Mexico was actually once controlled by the Habsburgs, actually a branch of the Habsburgs. Habsburgs were everywhere, Spain, Austria, everywhere. The Habsburgs really had some issues too. There's a lot of inbreeding. And from what I know, the actually Habsburg emperor who was there, he actually did love Mexico. He grew to love Mexico. But yeah, the Europeans were backing up a lot of the Mexican regimes, particularly during the imperial period. But yeah, look, Mike just confirmed it. Andrew, that's exactly what happened. We went from professional networking right over to let's find some corporations to give us free shit. And this is the problem. You do not deserve free shit. And you don't deserve my chicken sandwich. I said this on Geeks and Gamers the other day, and shout out to Eric July because he mentioned this as well. You don't have to eat the chicken sandwich. And my point, and the reason why I'm not doing it, is because I don't have to go to Chick-Fil-A. I can choose not to. I can choose to go get some food elsewhere, right? But for an organization that chose to be, that is a Christian organization that chose to do this, they can choose to opt out. And this is something that is very easy for them to do, and for easy for them to fix. It's just wiping a web page. It's not much work, right? That's all we're asking. Now, do I think it's going to be Bud Light level? No, it's not. I'm a realist. I'm a pragmatist. You guys know on this channel, I don't come here and lie. I don't come here and say, hey, I think this is going to end Chick-fil-A. It's not immediately. This is a poison. It's something that, once again, you take into yourself. It's like smoking that pack of cigarettes. It's a slow burn. Eventually eats away at the core of a corporation. And I love Chick-fil-A. I love their food. And when you love a corporation, you want to help them. Most people, I posted this today, who are critics of Disney, including myself. I grew up going to Disney World. I grew up reading about Walt Disney and how incredibly based Walt is. By the way, shout out to Razorfist for his excellent video on that. Walt was absolutely based. But it's sad to see Disney turn into the woke Iger corporation that is behind a lot of this DEI. It's just very, very sad. The people that, when you love a corporation, when you've appreciated them, when they've been a friend to you, you want to help them. And this is somebody calling out, them having said, I like your food. I would love you to change. I would really love you to change. And Marty McGill says, Alphabet people will not eat Chick-fil-A. No, and that's the thing. Why are you catering to Alphabet people? Why are you catering to Alphabet people that hate you? These people hate you. You adopting DEI is not going to convert them over. Stick to your loyal fans, the people that every time they boycotted Chick-fil-A, every single boycott of Chick-fil-A has failed because Christians and real Americans, I'm not even Christian right now. I'm not a Christian. However, I supported Chick-fil-A every time the woke mob came for them. And anybody who's out there defending their faith, if you're a Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever the hell you are, and somebody attacks you for your religiousness, I will be there to defend you for that. But I will not defend a corporation that is getting behind equity and the mistreatment of its employees, members, and frankly, the death of the American corporation, which is one of the things that made America great and made America the best nation in the world, was our corporations were run correctly. They were run efficiently, that we focused on business, not on bullshit. Last here, I Am Warwolf says, Vermont banned people from getting together for firearms training. Oof! Or even teach someone how to use a firearm. That's absolutely horrible. So guys, a couple topics that are coming up. I want to give you a little preview as I segue out here. I'm going to be doing a timeline on the Disney litigation. That video should come out at some point in the next 24 hours-ish. I may record it either tonight or tomorrow. Depends. So we'll have a video on the Disney litigation timeline coming. Also, I want to talk, and maybe it'll be on Locals, but we'll do a talk about James O'Keefe and what they're doing in the litigation is absolutely horrible to him. And that is, if you've checked in with Project Veritas and this new lawsuit against James O'Keefe, they are really trying to muzzle that guy before. This is going to be a litigation timeline, so it will be different than the timeline I did before. It's not going to be Disney history. It's going to be the litigation and when they have to respond. So what we should see. There is a lot of fake information about Disney out there right now, and people who are lying lying straight up about the timeline and what happens. So your boy is going to set the record straight. Big Red Snake said Christians siding with commies is not Christian. It's up to their pro-gay Christians. Hard times make it clear who is really on the team. Their God is money, otherwise they'd have held. I think this is a perfect way to sum that up. Thank you so much, guys. Out there, stay based, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe. We're almost at 100,000, so please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I will catch you guys very soon. Peace.